Hi, and welcome to It's Not Rocket Science, 5 questions over coffee, this time with no massive amounts of feedback, which is great news. So welcome to Marisa. Marisa is a business coach who works with people who are doing good, and she wants to help those people that are doing good get paid for doing what they're doing and do the right thing. So Marisa, welcome to It's Not Rocket Science, 5 questions over coffee. I hope I've described what you do accurately, but if not, I'm sure you're going to have plenty of fun over the next 15-20 minutes telling us exactly what you do and who you help.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me, Stuart. It's really good to be here. And yes, notwithstanding technical issues, but there we go. That's what happens, isn't it?
Brilliant. So Marisa, start with the question one that I always start with. So can you describe the problem that you help solve in your ideal client?
Yeah. So quite rightly, as you said, Stuart, I work with small business owners and solopreneurs who want to use their businesses for good, to solve problems for people and planet, but who also want to make money. And often they feel that those two things are mutually exclusive. So typically, the things that those small business owners and solopreneurs struggle with most often is having a strategy, particularly when it comes to marketing themselves. So they often feel like they're doing all the things that they feel they should do, but they're never really getting any traction.
And so what do they do for themselves without help that you commonly see in those people, Marisa?
Yeah, well, it really comes down to three things. So first of all, they tend to use a scattergunning approach when it comes to their marketing, and especially social media. So they feel like they have to be on all the platforms, and they're trying to be on all the platforms, but they don't really have any clear aim or goal or objectives. So they end up getting exhausted and exhausting their efforts. Secondly, they'll hear about something that's supposed to work and they think, great. So they run with that for a little while and get really enthusiastic about their marketing, but then they often run out of steam and give up. So they end up not posting and sharing consistently, not really engaging with their audience. And then the third thing is typically they feel like they're in selling mode all the time. So they feel frustrated because that isn't really translating into sales, and they come to absolutely hate their marketing because everything they do sounds very sort of two-dimensional and boring, and so it doesn't really reflect who they feel they are at heart.
Brilliant stuff, Marisa, and often the main source of problems for small businesses, isn't it? The fact that they believe they've got to sell, when in actual fact, as I keep telling my clients, the thing you have to do is explain what you do and then find the person that has that problem, and you won't have to sell to them. They will request that you solve their problem, and then it's just a meeting of minds about whether or not you're working together. It's no longer a selling conversation. It's about how do you help me solve my problem conversation, isn't it?
Absolutely. It is all about problem solving. And we're going to come on to that, I think, Stuart, in this conversation. So, yeah, absolutely, completely 100% with you.
So let's talk about then the valuable free action or valuable free resource that you bring to the party in order to help those people that need those problems being solved for them, or to help them solve those problems.
Well, I'm just like you, we're just here to solve problems for people, aren't we? So because this is an issue that I see all the time in the small business community, and I see all the pain and frustration and, exhaustion, frankly, it creates. I have a free ebook, which you can download from my website, which is marisaguthriecoaching.co.uk. It's all there. And that is to help people create a simple and effective marketing strategy in 3 easy steps, so that you'll always have something compelling and original to say, and you'll start seeing followers converting to customers. So that's one thing. But the other thing is, Stuart, is that I'm also running a free 10-day training event, which is starting next week, the 17th of November. And again, there's a link to it here, and it's called the Doing Business Differently Experience. And that is for purpose-led small business owners who really want to do more of what they love and do that good in the world and make money, but just can't figure out how those two things are going to fit together. So it's a really deep dive into the things that they need to know. And, what I think is crucial with trainings is it's all very well being told what you need to know, but having the time to implement so that you can actually make those changes and start to see results is what's really important. So that's how this training is really going to work. It's a series of webinars and Q&As. There's also a nice Facebook community to really dive in and to use me and lean into the resources that I'm creating, so that within those 10 days people can really start to see changes and have time to implement the things that they need to get the results that they need to see.
Brilliant stuff. So is there a particular book or concept or program that sort of helped you come to your realization of how you put together those sort of courses, Marisa?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm pretty long in the tooth, so I've leaned into quite a few things in my time. But so there are lots of people and books that I could cite, but right now I'd say that there are 2 books that have had a huge influence on me and my work. One of them is called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, and the other is called The Calling by Ra Goddess. And the common theme that both of these books share is that really we are often our own worst enemy when it comes to our attitudes to success and creating abundance. And it's often down to early life experiences, not exclusively, but mostly we take on an attitude to life that was set down by someone else, typically parents, but often family in general, school, teachers, society, and so on. And we end up carrying that attitude into our business life, for better or worse. And what I love about both of these books and both these writers is how they sort of skillfully demonstrate that with a little bit of self-awareness and a willingness to change, that actually you can achieve anything. You just have to choose not to buy into those self-limiting beliefs, and you have to do the work.
Brilliant. I must admit, I'm not familiar with either of those 2 books, Marisa. I've written them down on my pad next to me. I will be looking them out, because I do think that is a really big thing about most people, particularly when they enter any business, let alone the small business where you're doing the work for yourself. But often I see people even in starting out when they're working for a company, they believe they can never get anywhere because they were told by mum or dad or a teacher, you're never going to amount to anything. And that actually is the thing that guides their thinking. They will be convinced they will never amount to anything, and yet they've got great potential.
Exactly. So, you're in for a real treat then, Stuart, because they're both corkers, I can promise you.
I will look forward to digging them out of a library later on today. So, Marisa, here's my get out of jail free card, as I often say. The final question, which is the one where I've got to hand over to you. What's the question that you think I should have asked you? And please don't just leave us wondering what the answer is. Answer that question for us as well.
Well, it's always a great question, Stuart. So what you should have asked me is what the real secret to marketing yourself and your brand is that has nothing to do with self-promotion. And I would have told you that the secret is to tell your story.
I love the answer. I like the question, but I do like the answer.
So storytelling is powerful, not only because it enables us to convey concepts, ideas, and information, but importantly, it's how we invoke emotion and create emotional connection. So our human brains are hardwired for stories, as they help us figure out our place in the world, who our tribe is, where we belong. So no wonder it's used as such an effective marketing tool. So I just want to give three insights into, if you like, into what storytelling does. When it's done well, it demonstrates our values as business owners and what's important to us. Secondly, actually, it tells the customer something about themselves that they might not have been able to articulate themselves. And thirdly, because all stories are unique to the storyteller, that uniqueness helps the customer differentiate between you and your competitor. So it creates clarity as to why they should work with us. So all of that is a total win-win, and that has nothing to do with selling or self-promotion. It's just about turning up as yourself and telling your story.
Authenticity. Even this morning, I was on a call with somebody, and we were talking about the importance for authenticity. And it's a well overused concept at the moment, I think. But actually, I think the way you've just explained it is a brilliant way of breaking down what authenticity really is. It's about being yourself in such a way that you're not selling, but being yourself in such a way that, once again, we come back to that you help somebody with a problem they have, and you help them solve that problem. And I think that's a great way of putting it. Marisa, thank you so much.
Thank you. I
really
appreciate that.
Yeah, really appreciate the time you've been here, the time you made, and we've obviously had a few technical difficulties, but I'm so glad we were able to get together and do this. And the course that you're running starting next week is still scrolling across the bottom of the screen, but I'll put that in the notes to today's episode. But listen, if you or anybody listening at the moment would like to find out when we do these talks, so that you can join live and comment and ask questions of people, go on to our newsletter website, which you can get to by going to tca.fyi/subscribe. That's tca.fyi/subscribe. Get onto the newsletter list, so then you'll get to hear about things like this, Marisa. And also in the notes, you will see there are links to where you find this on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, etc., etc. So please like and subscribe to that as well. Marisa, thank you so much for being with us today. Really appreciate it. I'm now just going to play our outro music, which gives you a few minutes to sort of relax and before I stop the recording. So thank you so much for being with us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Stuart.
No problem. Bye-bye, Marisa.
Bye.